All right, I want to look at a couple different things that my colleague John actually sent me. Some of you may remember this black MAGA pastor, Jesse Lee Peterson. He's been on the program before. I've been on his show before in Los Angeles, California. He recently was involved in, I think it's fair to call it a scandal, where despite leading a life of public homophobic advocacy about being gay is bad and immoral and all these different things, it appears that Jesse Lee Peterson himself is gay, and this exploded in controversy several months ago. Somehow, Jesse Lee Peterson ended up on the Dr. Phil show. Now, I'm going to be totally upfront. I don't think much of the Dr. Phil show. And in fact, I had some back and forths with them about 2 months ago about having me on. They wasted my time. They were completely disrespectful of my time, asking me to do a pre-interview and a video vlog explaining my views, a filling out, providing answers to dozens of questions. Then they never even told me, hey, turns out we're not going to have you on. Just never even followed up. One of the most unprofessional outfits I've ever dealt with. And yet, I'm still going to play this for you with peace and love because it is so absolutely fascinating. Jesse Lee Peterson somehow ended up on the Dr. Phil show. And by the way, this guy on the screen right now is not Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm aware of that. And he just said vile and disgusting things that actually made an audience member cry. Let's just jump right into this first clip. The topic was, is it smart to have children? Now, in the background of all of this with Jesse Lee Peterson is his personal situation where he says he told me he was celibate because he's not married. And it turns out it's not just that he's not married to a woman. It's that he's actually gay and is hiding these relationships. It's crazy. Let's just jump right in.
It happens. I disagree with all this crap that I hear. I grew up with 6 brothers and 7 sisters at a time when, I grew up on.
By the way, it's funny that they identify him as radio host and pastor, which is like so banal and anodyne in the context of how completely whacked this guy is.
A plantation in Alabama, and we grew up in a little hut house, bathroom outside. And my family raised an amazing family, children. But what the difference was then than it is now is that before you had babies, you got married. So you have the father and the mother in the home. And while the father was out earning a living, the mother was watching over his children. And so
this entire routine is so extra hypocritical and ridiculous and absurd, given what we now know about Jesse Lee Peterson personally. It's stunning that he still goes around and says this stuff with a straight face.
Able to raise decent children. We didn't have government in our lives at the time. And so we were able to do that. And in America, we were not allowed all these illegal aliens and refugees to come into our country. So our government were not taking care of folks from other parts of the world and the families in America. We took care of ourselves.
I think you've...
Oh my God. People in the audience visibly rolling their eyes, but eventually they cry.
Pretty much pissed off everybody. But you said there's not anything you've heard that you don't think is crap. So what do you think? You said what you don't think. What do you think?
I know that we need to restore the family. We need a smaller government because government don't make anything work.
Understand that the family Jesse Lee Peterson says must be restored, which is a man and a woman married, having many children, is something that he himself doesn't actually live by, because it appears as though he's a gay man, which is fine, but he's spent decades shaming gay men. It's absolutely disgusting. And then a little bit later in the show, his comments actually so vile that they make audience members who are immigrants break down in tears.
What do you want to say?
I would like to speak to you guys directly, you two. To your point that poor children are the worst in the world and that immigrants are also not a good thing for this country. I'm someone who grew up in an orphanage in Russia. I lived there for 12 years. And then I came to the United States, and I've been working countless hours at the LA Food Bank and in the Skid Row. And I just think it's so messed up what you guys are saying. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crying.
It's okay. Just talk through the tears. I want to hear what...
Dr. Phil's like, please, no, cry more. Keep talking as you cry. It's good for the ratings.
What do you have to say?
I'm someone who came from Russia, and I've been putting in countless hours working, volunteering for people in Skid Row.
But what you
So
don't
just I'm an
realize,
example to you that we are not the worst people in the world.
Can I ask how old you are? So you're 31, right? I've been mentoring young guys since I was 18, from the ages of 14 through 24.
Yeah.
I grew up in the inner city of Detroit.
There's this weird thing about the Dr. Phil show where, so we know Jesse Lee Peterson is completely vile. I don't know that we need too much of a commentary on that. There's this weird vibe on the Dr. Phil show where it's sort of like they try to present it like a serious show, but it kind of has like Jerry Springer, Maury Povich vibes. And I don't know, it's like every detail, something about the way it's filmed, something about the lighting and the color temperature, the lower thirds and the font even. I can't exactly put my finger on what it is, but it just feels like one of those types of shows, even though it kind of seems like they're taking themselves seriously. Bizarre stuff. I don't even know how much Dr. Phil's people knew about Jesse Lee Peterson when they had him on, but quite literally saying things so disgusting, they make members of the audience cry. Strange and bizarre stuff.